Is biological age related to age at menopause? That's what we'll see here. On the x-axis, we've got age at menopause, and on the y-axis, we've got the difference in phenoage Excel. And note that that's the same phenoage, that's a metric of biological age, that I commonly show on the channel. So what does that mean, difference in phenoage Excel? Well, it asks a question, is biological age higher or lower than chronological age? If biological age is higher than chronological age, then that's a positive phenoage Excel. Note that positive is not a good thing in this case. And on the other hand, if biological age is lower than chronological age, that's a negative number. And in this case, that's good news. So what we can see on this plot is that an older biological age is significantly associated with an earlier age at menopause, such that women who had the oldest biological ages relative to chronological age had an average age at menopause of 40 years. On the other hand, women who had a younger biological age, that was associated with a later age at menopause, such that women who had the youngest biological ages relative to chronological age had age at menopause that approached 60 years. So why is this important? Why is age at menopause important? It's important because an older age at menopause is associated with a longer life expectancy. And I'm going to show data from 3 studies that show that association. So first, on the y-axis, we've got life expectancy, and then that's plotted on the x-axis against age at menopause. So for women who experienced age at menopause at younger than 40 years, their average life expectancy was 78. In contrast, women who experienced age at menopause greater than or equal to 55 had an average life expectancy of about 2 years longer, 80 plus years. And for the ages in between for age at menopause, we can see that positive correlation. Again, in other words, an older age at menopause is associated with a longer life expectancy. So that's study number 1. In study number 2, we'll see the same association. On the y-axis, we've got survival probability plotted against age. And then we put up a line at 0.5 survival. That's median survival. That's the time when half of the women in this study died and half were still alive. So when compared with menopause at 35 years, life expectancy for women that experienced menopause at 35 years, for women that experienced menopause 10 years later at 45, there was a significant extension in median lifespan of about 2 years. All right, study number 3. So here we're going to evaluate 25% survival first. That's the time when 25% of the women in this study had died and 75% were still alive. And then we can see the red line, that curve is for the women who experienced menopause at 40 years. In contrast, women who experienced menopause at 55 years, you can see that significant rightward shift for 25% survival, such that average life expectancy was about 3 years later. So what about median survival? So we can put up a line there, and that's the time, again, when half of the women in the study had died and half were still alive. And we can see that half of the women in the menopause at 40 group had already died, but the women who were in the menopause at 55 years, many were still alive. So we can't properly assess median survival in this study because all of the women, both at later and younger menopause ages, hadn't yet died. So we can only properly assess 25% survival. And in this case, we can see that menopause at 55 was associated with that 3-year longer life expectancy. So to summarize, a younger biological age is associated with an older age at menopause, and an older age at menopause is associated with a 2 to 3 year increased life expectancy. If you've ever wondered what's optimal for biomarkers, well, I have a new Patreon tier. It's a 95-minute video that will live exclusively on Patreon that covers all of the biomarkers shown here. And note that this isn't what the reference ranges are. This is data from 40 published papers in terms of how each of these biomarkers changes during aging and their association with all-cause mortality risk. And based on that data, I've crafted optimal ranges for health and potentially longevity. So if you've ever gotten blood test results from the doctor and you've ever wondered what's optimal, this may be the tier for you. And if you're interested in more about my attempts to biohack aging, there's a whole bunch of additional info that you may be interested in. And before you go, we've got a whole bunch of discount and affiliate links that you can use to test yourself that helped us support the channel. including ultralabtest.com, which is where I get the majority of my blood tests, clearly filtered water filter, which is what I use on a daily basis, at-home metabolomics, which I do for every test, oral microbiome composition, NAD testing with Ginfinity, epigenetic testing, at-home blood testing with Cyfox Health, which includes ApoB, but also the DNA methylation test GrimAge, green tea, diet tracking with Chronometer, or if you'd like to support the channel, you can do that with the website Buy Me a Coffee. We've also got merch, so if you're interested in wearing the ConquerAging or Diet Trying brand, as I've got on here, that link and all of the other links will be in the video's description. Thanks for watching. Hope that you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.